Hi folks, welcome to another episode of the Single Dad's Cookbook, and today we're going to be making my take on mushroom soup. This is the first time I'm making it, and it won't be the last. It was absolutely stunning. This will definitely be in my repertoire moving forward. And for this, really simple, there is a couple of cooking techniques that are in there, and it's all about building the flavours so you're getting the maximum taste out of everything. And the first thing you're going to do is going to get some butter melting in the pan. If this is your first video, welcome to the channel. I hope we find you well. If you are coming back and watching again, my heart honestly goes out to you. Thank you very much. It means the world to me. If you can, like and comment down below. This is from one of the what's in the bag recipes that I said I was going to make. So, and we're going to get cracking. And like I said, we've got the Facebook page up and running. It's building momentum. A couple of you have already put what you've made on there, which is great. That's the whole point of it. And hopefully we'll continue to grow. So if you are on Facebook, have a look at that and see if you want to join us. So, butter's melting. First thing we're going to do is we're going to chop an onion. Now, you can make this fine, you can make it chunky, it depends on how you're going to do it. I am going to blitz this at the end with a little hand blender that I've got, just to make the soup as smooth as possible. But what we're going to do is we're just going to finely chop, well, I say finely chop, we're going to chop the onion. Take your time, there's no mad rush. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to take the time and we're going to caramelise the onions. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a great base for this soup. And that's one of the things straight away that will elevate any dish really. You're going to let the natural sugars come out of the onion. Let them caramelise, let them soften, let them release that sweetness that they've got. So, done that, move them to one side, get them in a little container because we're going to get moving on to that. You can see I've been cleaning everything, my sleeves are nice and wet from doing the dishes. And I need to buy one of those bigger slice things that I keep seeing everywhere. Makes life a lot easier and less risky chopping my fingers. Next thing I'm going to do, now I've got just a punnet of chestnut mushrooms. Came in a pack. So for this size of punnet, I'm going to use 2 cloves of garlic that I'm going to grate. You can slice the garlic if you want, but what you might find is you'll get like a chunky garlic. I've started to more and more in my cooking grate garlic, so it's actually blended in. Butter's melted, we're getting the onions in, and we're going to give them a stir around so that they're all covered in that butter. You don't have to use butter, you can use olive oil. The reason I'm adding in the fat is because the mushrooms will absorb all of it. So again, it's just having a think about what we're doing. The other thing is it's non-salted butter, so I can control the salt content. When it comes to cleaning mushrooms, don't wash them. Get yourself a damp kitchen roll, forgot what it was called there for a second, and just give it a good old brush off because they will absorb. Now for these, I've took the stems out because they're a bit dirty. You can, 2 methods depending on what you're doing, thinly slice them or just give them a crush. They're going to be getting blitzed. Anytime you're blitzing stuff up, save time, just give them all a crush. Nice and simple, and it's broken down. So put them in there, literally turn them over, crush, 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 crush. And that, nice and easy, you're just going to break them up and pop them in. So anytime that you're going to blitz something or you want to break down mushrooms, just do it that way. Your life will become far, far easier. far simpler. So we're going to do that. Any bigger bits, you can then just run the knife through them, just like that. Just give it a chop, because like I said, we're going to break them down and we're going to get them into the pan. So there you have it, nice and simple. They've all been crushed. Took minutes. Really straightforward. And then pop them to the side. Any bigger bits, you can just break them. And if you're making a beef Wellington, or you're that fancy, you can just keep breaking them down, so you don't have to chop them up. And you see, straightforward. So onions have started to caramelise. They've started to catch a little bit. Brilliant. That's all flavour. We're going to pop them back on. So after another few minutes, and it did take about, I don't know, maybe 20-25 minutes, I'm adding in the garlic and a bit of salt and a bit of pepper. You'll know when the garlic's done, because your kitchen will start smelling amazing. Amazing. And at this point, you want to give it a good old stir. Add a little bit more fat. So in this case, I am adding some olive oil in. You can add more butter. And then I'm also adding in the mushrooms. I did cook the garlic out. Literally, it takes minutes. So give it all a mix. We're going to just make sure that the onions are and everything are covering it. You can see here that it's started to reduce right down. At this moment, I'm adding in thyme, and I'm using dry thyme. If you've got fresh thyme, brilliant. I'm just using dry because it's in the cupboard, and it's a cheaper alternative because you can keep it longer. So I'm just going to give that a good old mix around. And then the next thing we're going to do, once that's cooked out a little bit, and you can see it's all reduced down, it smells amazing at this point, you're going to now make a roux. So for this, again, for this size, I'm using probably half a cup of flour. And as you're mixing it, you can see it coming together straight away. So you've reduced it down, you've let the mushrooms, just going to cook out the flour for a little bit. So you can see there, I've cooked out the flour. I'm now adding chicken stock. And again, about a pint of chicken stock. You can use veg stock if you want to keep it completely vegetarian. You've got to watch the butter. But if you want to keep it vegetarian, you can use veg stock. You want to then boil this because you want to activate the roux. And you can see it's starting to come together beautifully there. At this point, you want to give it a taste and see if it needs any other seasoning, whether it's salt or pepper. I needed to put a little bit more pepper in it. You don't want to overload the salt because depending on the stock you're using, etc., you've got to get that balance. I've added in some pepper and we're good to go. Give it a mix and you can see it's starting to thicken up and become absolutely beautiful. At this stage, I'm adding in my blender and I'm just going to blitz it and get it as smooth as possible. If you've got a food processor, just make sure you take the little bit at the top so it can release the pressure. And you can see there, it's become that beautiful light brown colour that mushroom soup is. Next bit, we're going to get the heavy cream. And again, I'm adding... you're talking a quarter of a cup into that. Give it a mix and you can see it becoming even lighter. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to keep stirring that in and we're going to put it on the hob just to bring it back up to temp, and then we're going to get it served. So here we go, we've got the bowl. Let's see, after a couple of minutes of just reheating, you can see how thick and glossy that is. And when I say it was stunning, I genuinely mean that. The caramelisation of the onions, the grating of the garlic, the sweating down the mushrooms, the dried thyme. You can add white wine, if you will, if you wish I should say, but I've left it out, didn't need it. And you do that before you make the roux, if you're going to add that in. Give it a bit of clean, so it looks professional, and I'll show you how thick it is. And as I'm doing that, I want to hope that you are all doing well out there. Please, if you are new to the channel, think about subscribing. Costs you nothing. If you are back, hit that like button for me. This soup's delicious. It is one of the what's in the bag recipes. More will come in. I hope I'm finding you all well. Look after yourselves and each other. And as always, from my family to yours, thanks very much for watching. And until the next time, Single Dad signing off.